The first stage. There are two types of first stages: diaphragm and piston. The main difference is that the pressure-reducing mechanism in the diaphragm type, contrary to the piston type, works in a dry environment. In the piston-type first stage, the ambient pressure is transmitted to the pressure-reducing mechanism directly by the water that enters it. Instead, in the diaphragm type, the ambient pressure is transmitted via the force exerted on the diaphragm. This is why diaphragm-type first stages are preferable for dives where there is a lot of silt suspension in the water. The dirty water remains outside the pressure-reducing device and therefore cannot damage the mechanism or affect its working properly. Downstream and upstream valves. The passage of breathing mix from the first to the second stage of a regulator occurs through the opening of a valve. This valve can be either downstream or upstream, depending on the direction the valve opens in respect to the flow. A valve is downstream when it opens in the same direction as the flow. If the valve opens in the opposite direction to the flow, it is said to be upstream. The advantage of a downstream valve is that if the pressure upstream is higher than normal, the valve will open and allow gas to flow out. This is why all safety valves are of the downstream type. The disadvantage is that the force generated by the thrust of high pressure on the area of the valve head changes with the variation of pressure in the cylinder, thus affecting its performance. Balanced valves arise from this fact. Balanced valves. Upstream of every valve, there is an imbalance of forces due to the reduction of pressure as the diver consumes the breathing gas. Balanced valves were designed to reduce the effort of opening the valve, meaning in such a way so that the pressure acting on the valve head is counterbalanced by an identical force that acts in the opposite direction. A special balance chamber ensures that the same pressure that there is upstream of the valve acts on an area of the piston the same as that for the passage of the breathing mix. There are two ways of connecting the balance chamber: using an external or an internal feed line, which is usually the method used in regulators. In this way, with variations to the high pressure, the effort of opening remains practically the same and is dependent on a single spring. When the two areas on which the axial forces act are the same, the valve is perfectly balanced. If they are different, the effort of opening varies with the changes in pressure upstream. For example, if the head of the valve stem has a smaller area than that for the passage of the breathing gas, the valve is partially balanced. In the opposite situation, the valve is overbalanced and the effort of opening is reduced as the pressure upstream fails.